Welcome to Garden Delight. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about pumpkins, and we'll also hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and we'll have to see later what he's going to be up to. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delight. Welcome back to Garden Delight. Today we're talking about pumpkins, and I'll tell you, this time of year, I'm always looking forward to it, but I really look forward to all the pumpkins coming out. So let's talk about pumpkins. When you're looking for pumpkins to bake with, you do want to look for a pumpkin that is on the small side, but also let's talk about why it's so good to eat as far as that pumpkin goes. As far as the nutrition goes, it is sodium-free, fat-free, and it's also cholesterol-free. But one good thing about this pumpkin, it is loaded with vitamin A and C, but potassium also. So you're going to get a lot from this pumpkin. Now, when you're selecting the pumpkin, there's pumpkins all sizes out there. But for baking, you really want to make sure you find one that is small because it's going to be tender. It's also going to be, the texture is going to be a little bit thicker than a jack-o'-lantern type pumpkin that's about 10 pounds or more. So you're looking for 10 pounds or less. And that's the reason why you want one smaller, is because the texture is going to be different. Also, it's not going to be stringy like a large pumpkin. So you want to make sure that you don't get a stringy pumpkin, because no one wants to eat stringy pies or potato pie, whatever you're going to be making as far as that, putting pumpkin with potato pie, whatever it is you're making. You don't want it stringy. You want it very nicely creamy looking. And so that's the reason why you want to choose a small pumpkin when you're going to be baking, whether it's muffins, which we're going to make muffins in just a little bit, or a pie. Now, as far as storage, you do want to make sure that you have the stem still connected, because that's going to prolong it to keep it at least a month or more. And you want to keep it in a cool, dry place. You do want to check your pumpkin out to make sure it doesn't have any bruises, because that's going to decay faster. And so you want to make sure. Pumpkins also, you can freeze it, freezes very well. So you may want to consider that if you come along with some less than 10, small ones, 10 pounds or smaller, you may want to freeze it and bring it back out and make those muffins or that pie one day. So just keep that in mind. So let's go see what Frank's up to and check out the farm right here in Henry County. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delight.
Today, we're continuing our little series here on Henry County Agriculture. We're here at C4 Farm with Jonathan Craig, and this farm has been in the county for years and years. To start with, I'm going to let Jonathan tell us a little history about this farm.
Well, Mr. Frank, thank you for coming out today and being able to share the history of what we've been able to hold on to now since we were able to. My forefathers bought it in 1927. It was during the Depression. The family that owned it before us was the Shaws, and they ended up losing it during the Depression due to they took out loans from the bank for all the tin on all the barns and everything, and were able to, unable to make the payments back to the bank. So they were able to purchase the place in 27, and then my great-grandmother passed away in 1960, and the farm was kind of split up. My cousin got some land, and my great-aunt, my dad bought some, and it just kind of stayed kind of under the same track, but it just was split up a little bit. And my cousin passed away in 2012 and left me the home house here that I'm hoping to restore, and some land, and then I bought some land from the estate and basically put the south part of the farm back together. My dad owns the north part of the farm, so my intentions are to remodel the house and I've already got cows, but I'm wanting to expand my herd, expand the fencing, and that's what I'm currently doing right now, and having to work a job and then do this too. So it's a free entertainment. It definitely keeps you tired and never have to worry about sleeping.
I understand the house has got a little history of movie making.
Yeah, we've been blessed to be able to go through some filming down here. Started in 1996, well, with a little barn on the other side of the hill here. It was Miss Evers Boys, had Lawrence Fishburne and Afrey Witter in it. And 2012, we had Medea's Christmas out, and that was the main home house for the whole story. And they were able to get that filmed, and we had in the large barn Vampire Diaries, and then we had Resurrection filmed, and then we also in 2015, we had The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks filmed, if I'm correct, and that had Oprah Winfrey in it. So it's been, and every time I go to want to remodel it, somebody shows up and they're like, no, we just leave it like that. We need it looking,
right.
And I'm like, maybe they'll just pay to remodel it. But it's just, this is home. This is where I was born and raised, and I spent a lot of days around.
You started off, I heard you say a little while ago that as a young guy you had to pick pimento peppers.
Oh yeah, that's probably why my arms got so long, was we'd try to pick 2 rows at a time, but they had a little pick sack that they made for me. And I think it might have been handed down from my dad, but it was pimento pepper out, and my great aunt would get 3-acre allotment, and my cousin would get 3 acres, so it was about 6 acres. And I'm telling you, that was probably all you could do. Every time it would rain, every time you turned around, it was time to pick it. But we would set it out in slips, and then if there was any skips, you'd have to go back and tote water in the little pepper planter that you usually see in Cracker Barrel, that nobody knows what it is. It looks like a little bird mouth. And you'd have to hoe it. So I'd get off the school bus in September. It was wide open picking pepper.
Okay.
So it was definitely a beginning of a good work ethic that a farm and outdoor living can give you. So I'm very thankful and very blessed to be brought up this way. And I wish that more kids and families could have something like this. And I'm very fortunate.
All right, so now you're back to putting the farm in shape to raise cattle. That's the main goal here.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that when I left to go away to the Marine Corps, learn how to work on helicopters, Cobras and Hueys. My dad, since I was leaving, we sold the last, I think it was like 22 cows we sold. And I come back and I was working at UPS, and it just weighed on me. Every time I turned around, I was wanting some cows, just miss them. So we were able to, all this came along, and I was able to inherit and buy some. And I just went putting fence up, and I had to have some cows. So Black Angus is preferred on this side, where was my cousin's property. He had white-faced Herefords, and on my dad's side, we had Black Angus. So I've always been partial to the Black Angus beef cattle.
I understand.
That's where I'm going.
All right, and so in your fencing operation, I understand you're working with the Natural Resource Conservation Service to get some cross fencing in, I guess, to get set up to do a little rotational grazing.
Oh, yes, sir. And Mr. Sean Ford and Mr. Ricky here have been outstanding. They have went above and beyond to help get me qualified, being such a small producer starting out. A lot of times in these, I guess you'd call it suburban, more metropolitan areas, the bigger fish get more of the pie. And just the guys that are starting out, you get preferred points, but it's just so much to get through the application process. They have made it as simple and easy as you could possibly ask. It's been a godsend.
Okay, and we've run into the other farms that we've been to where they've helped out with hoop houses and irrigation systems, that sort of thing. And today we kind of caught up with Ricky Merritt here, and I'm going to let Ricky tell us a little bit about the programs and what they're doing to help our farmers here in Henry County.
Yes, I represent the McDonough Service Center, in which we cover Henry County. And part of our function in the McDonough Service Center is to support farmers, especially the farmers, try to keep them going, providing technical assistance and financial assistance. One of our programs that Jonathan's in is, we call it the EQUIP program. Part of the EQUIP program provides fencing, water, troughs, and technical support. We go out to the farm, we assist them any way possible. We sign them up with the application process. We make sure that the programs are complete, all the paperwork is complete. We come out and we do an inspection at the end and make sure the farmer gets paid. That's the major function of the EQUIP program that we provide.
Okay, and that's with the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and that's part of the USDA.
The family farmers do a lot to help America in the fact that this is something that can't be replaced.
Oh, absolutely.
Your knowledge, your expertise, and all the hard work that's involved in it is really beyond what people know. Before I came to NRCS, I had no idea the amount of work that it really takes to make this happen.
Yes.
And the fact that that's getting lost, not being transferred to our younger people, is a big asset that we really need to keep going.
Yeah, that is an issue that to get the younger people involved so that they understand where their food comes from and that you got to have it.
And another
Now,
thing,
we do have programs that do provide that, but it's not nowhere near the magnitude it needs to be for people to really understand.
yeah, and a lot of people, they read a lot of stuff that's misinformed. A lot of these smaller producers, they're eating the same stuff that they're selling. And they're not going to take and have any type of over chemicals or antibiotics put in their food that they're going to feed their family like.
I do like your philosophy, what you're talking about. The smaller farmers tend to have better quality of product because that's the way they're used to the working. They want their product to be good to make it to the marketplace in a much better quality.
And not only that, your consumer today is looking to buy locally. They want to know who's growing their food, who's growing their vegetables, how they're growing it. And so a lot of these farms that we visited so far, the consumer comes right out to their farm to buy what they need. They also sell in our farmers market that we have over there at Heritage Park. But yeah, it's a little bit different thing. That food needs to travel fewer miles, and you need to know who's growing it. And and Jonathan is continuing to work here, getting the fences put up. In fact, he volunteered to let us help him build some fence today, but I declined. I've built quite a bit of fence, but not recently, so I'm gonna let him have the pleasure of taking care of the fence building. All right, and now we're gonna go see what Susan's fixing in the kitchen.
Welcome back to Garden Delight. Today we're making pumpkin muffins and they are so easy, but I will tell you this, if you're watching your weight, you're gonna love these because they are low fat. So I'm gonna go through the steps of what we need to do to put these muffins together, and they're very, very easy. So the first thing you wanna do is you need about 2 tablespoons of canola oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the bowl. And then for the sugar part, which I think is just awesome because I love honey. So this is going to be about 1/2 cup of honey. And so I am going to use my spatula because I will tell you, I absolutely love honey and I can put it on just about anything. So that's the reason I want to make sure I get it all out. So this is about 1/2 cup. So you'll see that's the sugar that's going to make it sweet. And so if you have a favorite place where you like to buy your honey, please buy it there. Locally grown is even better because then you have honey that's right there in your home neighborhood. Now the other thing that's going to be in this switch of these muffins is going to be some mayonnaise, and it's going to be fat-free mayonnaise, and this is about 1/3 of a cup. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this in here, and I want to make sure I get all this. And you know, I've heard about different things with mayonnaise. It does help it as far as making it moist. So this is what you're going to add for the first ingredients. I'm going to stack these real quick. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use a whisk, and you want to make sure this is really smooth. So I'm going to just whisk this around. And it doesn't take long for you to do this, but I just want to make sure all this is combined really well because I want the other ingredients to not be just by itself. I want it to be all together. So you'll see this is a very smooth. It goes together really easy as far as making it smooth. So this is just the oil, the canola oil, the honey, and oh, I just lost my train of thought. The mayonnaise. So now it's going to tell you to have 1 egg, and it is going to be room temperature. So we're going to go ahead and put the egg in. And the other thing you're going to put in is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And we're going to mix these first before we even add the pumpkin. So I'm going to go ahead and add those, and I'm going to go ahead and mix those up. Because I really want this to be really nicely smooth too and mixed up really well. And this is the wet ingredients, so we're going to do those first because we want to make sure we have all this well. So when we put the dry ingredients, it's going to mix very well. So that's mixed up really well. Now this is a 15-ounce can of pumpkin. I want to make sure that you understand, don't get pumpkin pie because it already has a season in it and it's going to be a different texture. So this is just plain pumpkin. So you need about a 15-ounce can, and you can see how loose this is going to be going in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the pumpkin in here. And I want to make sure I get all it. And I tell you, as you mix each part of it, it just smells so, so good. And it makes me think of this time of year and how much it smells so good. So I have my pumpkin. And then you're going to just whisk it around too and make sure it's all combined really well. So I just want to make sure I do this before I add any of the dry ingredients. And so the dry ingredients, I am going to add them to the flour. And so the flour is it is plain flour, and so to make it to where it will help rise, we're going to add just a little bit to that flour. So that looks really good, mixed up really well. And I won't need my whisk anymore. What I'm going to do now is just use my spatula. So the next thing you're going to do, you have a 1 1/4 of plain flour. And then you're going to add some kosher salt. This is about 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm going to add it. You're also going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm going to go ahead and add that. I think I'll just keep stacking over here. And then, depending on if you want to break it out, and you can look what's in pumpkin pie spice, you're going to have your nutmeg, your ginger, and all the other things in allspice. So this is called pumpkin pie spice, so it has a little of all those in there, or you can, space it out as however you want to. This is about 2 teaspoons of that. So if you didn't have that at home, you still could use the other ingredients. So I'm going to use my spatula just to kind of mix this around a little bit because I want to have it mixed around really well before I put it into the wet ingredients. So I'm just going to make sure, and this smells so good. Before it's even baking, it smells really good. All right, so I'm going to take this. I've got it mixed in pretty good. I'm going to just kind of mix it as I stir it back into the wet ingredients. And get all that out of there. And then you're just going to mix this, and the main thing you want to think about is I want to mix this where I don't see any flour. And it's not going to take you long to mix it. And the good thing is you don't have to use a mixer. You can do it all by hand, so it makes it really nice. So I'm just going to keep mixing this because I do want it all the wet and all the dry combined really well. And one thing good about using a spatula is you can get around the edges and the bottom really well. And making sure it's doing it. And I don't want to overbeat it though. I do just want to kind of combine it and fold it. You don't want to overbeat it. That's the reason why you really don't want to use a mixer, because you don't want to cause it to be just so beat up. So you want to just kind of do it with a spatula. And you can see as I keep turning it, you can see that I'm seeing less and less of the flour. So that's what we want to do. So I'm almost there. So the recipe is going to tell you this is going to make 12 muffins, which is awesome. And you know muffins freeze very well. So if you are wanting to make them prolong and not eat them all in 2 days, you can freeze your muffins also and they will freeze very well. So if you have some family coming over, you can make these ahead and freeze them for a breakfast or a brunch. So it just depends on what you're wanting. So I think I have it about where I want it. See just a little bit more flour right there, and I want to make sure my sides are all taken care of and the bottom also. So this looks really good. Now I do have some old-fashioned oatmeal, and I also have some sliced almonds. And so this is going to go on top of the muffins to make them look just awesome. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to get my tray out, which I already have lined with liners. If you don't want to line them with liners, you don't have to. You can just make sure you somehow you oil them, because that's going to be very important. I'm going to move this right over here for a second. Now, if you have a scoop or ice cream scoop, you can use that. But what I like to do is, because I don't know, I like to eye it. So I'm just going to take this is about a half a cup, but I don't fill it all the way. I just kind of do it like so. And what I'm going to do is just kind of dump it into each one of them. All right, so in the recipe, it's going to say about 2 tablespoons of oats and maybe about 2 tablespoons of the slivered or sliced almonds. But it's up to you on how much you want to put on it, because all I want is just a nice texture look on top where it's not just plain for the muffin. So I'm just going to just add a little bit to it. I'm just going to lay a couple of almonds on each one, and we're almost ready to bake these. All right, we have muffins. So you're going to bake these for about 25 to 30 minutes, but check your oven about 20 minutes, I would say, at 325. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven so we can have them ready. So Frank and I can have them ready, like I say. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Frank, we have pumpkin muffins.
Pumpkin muffins. I bet I'm going to like those.
I will tell you why I've been trying to get them together to bake. I wanted to eat them even in the raw as far as that goes. They smell so good. So I'll tell you.
They do smell
just
good.
Take one. So I'm going to go ahead and take me one right now.
I'm just going to get my own. I'm not going to wait to be served.
I figured you would. I am looking so forward to this. I love pumpkin. I love the spices that goes with it, and they're light too, and they're also low fat. Oh my, this is really good. Very moist.
I like pumpkin.
I do too. Well, we could do this, split it halfway. You eat half and I eat half.
All right, we'll wait till after the show.
That sounds like a
We'll
deal.
finish them off. You know, we went out to Jonathan Craig's today. He's kind of out on the dirt end of Laney Road. Old house there. They filmed a lot of movies at that old house.
I did not know that.
He named them Medea's Christmas, and 4 or 5 movies have used that scene. It's been there since, I think he said it's been there since 1924 or something like that.
Wow, I'm going to have to go check that place
A lot
out.
of old barns and things. And unlike some of our farms that have disappeared and been replaced with progress, he's restoring this one and getting ready to raise cattle. And so this is the opposite of what we see happening to some of our farms.
Right.
This one's coming back.
That is great. That is really good. And you know, Henry County still has a lot of farms. These are really good. You will have to check the website out for this recipe. You're going to really love them. Well, Frank and I are going to still eat these muffins. I don't know if we'll divide them half and half, but we're going to enjoy them. So we'll see you back next time on Garden Delights.
I think you got that one off of my half.